What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of The Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of Web3 and gaming culture. I'm your host and NFT ambassador, Jim Kieran, and today we've got another lineup of topics for you guys. And remember, if you want to join the conversation, make sure you tune in on the YouTube. We have a YouTube channel for The Block Sauce, so go check it out, jump in, and throw some questions our way. We tend to read those as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. What's up, everybody? We got our panel here. Oh, everybody's misaligned on the names again.
Yeah.
So
New
right
name.
now we have Shay as Jorge, we have Jorge as Sinjin, and we have Dub as Matt. So
Yeah.
let me fix all these.
I'm
At least
Twitter famous. Look at me. Hey, GTA is a crypto game.
Hold on, is this the part where we're supposed to make like a really cool, thumbnail?
maybe. Hang on, we can fix this. I gotta switch the slots.
What is Matt DeFi?
There we go.
bro.
He's got that Azuki actually.
Oh yeah.
I need to match that.
Yeah. Okay. It's fixed. It's fixed. That's
I am
on me. I had time to fix it and I didn't catch it. That one's on me. Oh man. So we got, Web3 apparently is popping this week. We got lots of news, but we're gonna focus on a few topics I haven't seen too many talk about. I say too many because obviously Shrapnel raising $20 million. I think everybody's talking about that one. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm bullish on Shrapnel anyway, so
Bitcoin's popping, Web3 is popping, crypto's popping, stock market's not popping, not financial advice. Shrapnel raised $20 million. That's what's popping. Hey, Web3, gaming, that's where it's at. That's where the money's going.
Are we so back? Are we so back or what?
It's funny. I was in a space and Tony from Shrapnel was on there, and I said it was kind of a little good deal for Shrapnel, just because in the grand scheme of Shrapnel, what they want to build is going to cost way more than 20 million. I mean, they made something cool with like around 20 million with their current slice, but like that's got to be a 10x, right? But where I got corrected was that it's the new deals and new partners that are on the cap table now. What's super important, and that is interesting. Like new investment players are coming into Web3 via Shrapnel actually with this deal. So I'm stoked to see it.
Yeah, I think you have to understand, first of all, like I think this was kind of like their first round, right? The opportunity to go to multiple rounds in the future with the product that they have already, the hype that they have. I think the hype behind Shrapnel has been something we haven't seen, right? You look at Off the Grid, and I'm a big fan of Off the Grid, but the Off the Grid marketing is nowhere near to the Shrapnel marketing, right? And both of them are I think, right there, right? High top caliber, first-person shooter extraction games. So now here's the thing to it. Let me throw a caveat to that. Is that Off the Grid's marketing has been more towards the Asian and European markets, whereas Shrapnel has been a very, very heavy focus in America and working with American content creators. And I say that because now, again, I step back and like see what LATAM and Asia are doing in the Web3 space. And Shrapnel is like, not like something that's very popular. So I think it's just depending on the activations where it is. Now, goes back to Dub's point, is that where's the money coming in? Where's the partners, right? America's always going to have the bigger bags, especially when it comes down to this kind of like activation. And the partners that Shrapnel is bringing, again, is opening up new avenues for us in Web3.
Yeah, I think it's also like a target market of crypto versus the standard Web2 gamers, right? Like when I've been watching Shrapnel over the last month, they've been coming in and sponsoring like every single Twitter space and like podcast and streams. And like I'm seeing everyone that I know giving away extraction packs and stuff like that, right? Like props to them. Yeah, right. Everyone wants to do that. And Off the Grid has what? I mean, Coop dropped a couple crates during TwitchCon, but that's it as far as Web3 marketing for off the grid.
That's been my impression of them too, Deb. Like, because I haven't really interfaced with the team, so I don't really know like the inner workings. Like, but I know whenever I tune into Gamified, like obviously Shrapnel is the official sponsor of Gamified, so and everyone's always giving away extraction packs, like you said. So from like as a Web3 marketer, from a marketing perspective, it's like really evident that they put themselves out there and they're not afraid to sponsor and to support and to go after that. So kudos to them for that. And then in general, 20 million is just a lot.
Right. And a quick rebuttal to Jorge's point. I've been working closely with the Shrapnel team on marketing plans, and they are targeting Asia actually, and are actively looking for Web2 creators and Web3 creators in that space.
No, I'm not saying they're not. I think like if you see their larger activation is definitely America. And I would even challenge
hasn't happened, right?
Yeah. I would challenge any marketer to do what one of the things that like my favorite case studies to do is I take a VPN, I start up a new Twitter and a new TikTok in like different areas of the world. And you will see really like the real games, Web3 games that are really like pushing out there in those areas. And it will make you really wonder like what's happening here in the United States. I can't tell you, like the TikTok, at least like that case study right there itself is so much fun to see it. And it's like, what the hell? Like it's so different. But again, it's the basis of Web3.
I love this research and development approach, Jorge. Guys, y'all got to hire the gaming strategist, okay? This is where. No, on that note, I'm really curious. Like before we move on to the next topic, Deb, I really want to hear about like TwitchCon. Like how are the vibes? It seemed like there was kind of a really interesting like meeting of the minds between Web 2 and Web 3. And Jinky, I feel like
I didn't make it there actually, but talking to everyone that did, it seems like a couple people from like it seems like TwitchCon was a big failure as a whole actually, and not a ton of people showed up. Web2 games like Ubisoft and everything didn't demo there like they normally do. Doritos had the biggest booth is a great way to put it. I think Dead Drop did very well in securing like a good community event. But then when I take a look at like the gameplay lobby and how many players are actually in Dead Drop this week post that event, it's just as dead as it was before. So like,
where were you at then? Weren't you at some event because you were?
I was at my brother's wedding in Florida. Yeah. So it's just some weird coincidence where it's like I couldn't make it to all these cool things, but I was there like in the chat and enjoying it. But yeah, I mean, like very few people showed up as a whole. Some elite like Web3 people did show up and got to meet and hang out and mix and have minds. I mean, I think Web3's, when we look at it, we want to be participating at TwitchCon next year and the year after in a bigger way, like actually on the floor, because Web2's missing out on that, and there is still people that are willing to go, but this year was kind of a miss, and it makes sense with like Kit coming in, all of these different things, right?
So it goes a bit beyond that. So I actually went to DreamHack a few years ago, and it's the same thing. It was a bunch of like sponsor booths. There was hardly any games there. And I think we're starting to see this become more and more common because like Nintendo has their Nintendo Direct. I think PlayStation has like State of the Play or whatever. I think Microsoft has their own show now. Everybody's moving to these digital shows because it's a lot more cost effective. You're not having to fly employees out. You're not having to worry about housing and food during the trip duration, the booth costs, entry costs for the event itself. So I think this is going to be more and more common that we're going to see the big dogs kind of pull out of these events and do their own online thing. Because it's been a trend in recent years, and it's just now starting to hit the bigger events, right? So DreamHack isn't necessarily, at least in the U.S., considered one of the big events. But I think that eventually over time, because of COVID and everything else that's happened in recent years, that's going to push everything, even the big companies, to go in that route. I think this is a perfect opportunity, and Dub mentioned it, for Web3 games to start getting set up and being able to get booths into events that may previously have denied them, because they're going to be wanting more games to show up, and they're going to need to fill those areas because, let's be honest, we're gamers. We don't show up to go hang out at the Dorito booth, right? We show up to check out new games, find new gameplay, talk to the developers or people on the team. We want to engage with other gamers. I don't care about the sponsor booths. I love sponsors. They make the events happen. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm going to buy something from a sponsor, most likely I'm going to do it through Amazon or some other online retailer, right?
Well, take a look at Elgato, right? Look how many people walked away with a Stream Deck. I think even like Crypto Stash walked away with one, and I know he already has one. You know, like it's a prime place to make a great giveaway offer. And the blockchain is set up to do exactly that. Like, imagine if Off the Grid was giving away these $200 crates, or Shrapnel was giving away the heavy extraction packs to everyone who made it through their booth and did some maze test thing or something cool. Like, there's just so much on the table, and it's so disappointing to see how this market goes about it, because, like, coming from sporting goods, there's just so much more. Jorge's got an avalanche going on over there. There it is. Dude, I have my, it's literally over there. Oh my God.
Yo, Shrapnel, can I get sponsored for this? Or else if I don't get sponsored for this, I'm going back to my Red Bull. No, but here's the thing to it. I think we need to understand a couple things. World economy, gaming economy, where we are right now, right? We're in a spot right now where I think there's a lot of layoffs in the Web2 gaming space, right? We're the whole world right now is kind of like in a crisis mode right now. The United States right now is in a huge crisis mode right now. If you look at interest rates, market, and all that stuff. And so I think like it's not, like the news of TwitchCon not being great is not like something that I'm like, oh yeah, maybe they're finally like dying or something. No, I mean, if you look at like everything that for spending right now across everything, people are really tightening their budgets right now, because we do believe that we're going to go into a recession, a probably harder recession that we haven't really faced. And so with all that said, like, it's just doing the appropriate cuts. Now, let me talk to you more about blockchain. I think this is the opportunity, like Doug was saying. I think one of the biggest failed points in blockchain and in Web3 is content creators, right? Like, right now, the way that it's set up is that Web3 games are like, hey, go do this activation. Hey, talk to you guys in 6 months. Hey, here's doing another activation. I'll talk to you in 6 months, right? This is the most broken content creator program I have ever seen in my life. And I think like you look at like maybe Gala, right? When they were paying for Jake, right? Like you have to like put some of these content creators on payroll to be able to create the right content to push out the right stuff. You guys are raising millions of dollars. I don't care, man. Some of these content creators will do it for 30 grand a year. I know, like shit, you pay me 30 grand and I'll do these talk shows every year for every fucking day for you.
Exactly, right?
Right? And so it's again, it's just like, we don't understand it. And I think it's again, the not understanding marketing, right? And if you look at distributions and everything like that in the space, it's so broken, right? And you look at the Web 2 space, right? And in the Web 2 space, a lot of content creators have agencies they work with, right? We don't have any agencies in Web 3, right? Like I think there's one or two, and I can't really speak on them because I've never really had that discussion.
And they're really, really expensive. Like Serotonin, which is one of the probably like the most respected, like top tier premium one. Like I think their minimum retainer for their clients is like $30,000 a month. So yeah, they're really expensive.
It's definitely something like, again, so I think like, again, when you look at like the way to do booths and everything, like, I don't know. I mean, no offense here to Avalanche, right? What does Avalanche spend on booths a year, man? Holy shit. Like that bill has to be like a pretty fucking penny, right? And like, it's great to see them sponsoring Gamified now, because I think like they're finally understanding like, hey, my dollar could probably go a lot farther, like sponsoring Sam, sponsoring content creators, paying content creators. Like, I'm surprised no other blockchains or L1s or L2s are doing this. Like, like they're like all about like wanting to get more games, but like help them out with marketing, right? Like, I mean, that's what the whole basis of the issue in the space is. So yeah, I mean, I think like we should see a real big shift in the coming year. I hope in the sense of like getting away from these events, not to say getting away fully from the events, but like maybe transforming something where it's either shows or metaverses or whatever it is that you want to say.
So yeah, just to put a nail in it, it can't be a party for all of us to get together and like connect again. It needs to be a user acquisition moment. And this past year, like everyone has just been a party for us to get together, which is, not enough.
Yeah, that's true. I did want to touch on something because I think it was either Jorge or Dub mentioned that the dead drop lobbies aren't even, getting filled now. I kind of brought this up yesterday in Grazlo's space with the older guys. Do you guys feel like maybe it's a timing issue when it comes to not even just Dead Drop, but also Shrapnel, because they're going to be launching their playable state in December? Well, we've just came in the middle of a bunch of Call of Duty betas. Call of Duty launches in like a week or week and a half, somewhere around there. And I feel like everybody in the FPS world is more focused on that right now. So maybe FPS games having big announcements and events and playable sessions and stuff like that during the time when the biggest FPS game probably in the world is about to have a new release might be what's causing a bit of this lull.
I've been in that pickle before, and like honestly, like customers want options, and allowing it to just be Call of Duty and the finals and like the few that are out there, don't do it. Like I think it's worth being an option out there, especially when big activations are coming, because that just means the FPS category as a whole has a lot more going on, has a lot more people playing, willing to try out something else, and like, yeah, that go for it is my thing, because like the best time is to be when the others are throwing the marketing dollars at the category as a whole and bringing up that whole segment of the market.
That's a good point.
Your take is kind of the opposite of what Jinky is saying. You're saying it's good for them. It's opportunistic for them to do it.
Yeah, it's the perfect time in my mind, because otherwise you're trying to make waves in a calm lake, right? Like it's just no one's there playing FPSs to begin with at the moment, because they're all doing the Diablo 4 MMO or something.
Yeah, I still think that like a Shrapnel type game is still struggling with the aspect that they're in blockchain, right? An identity issue of building on the blockchain, right? And I think like Call of Duty, right? First of all, you can't compare it to that because it's got the name already. But if you are, they're still right now in a identity crisis of what blockchain is and how we're building on the blockchain. And I think we've seen this in the news this past couple of weeks. It's like the token that they have is still in question, right, for being an American company. So I think there's a lot of things that like on a marketing, like I feel bad for Tony who runs marketing over there, because I don't know how the fuck he's doing it. But congrats to him, and I know he's a genius, so he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think they are at a point where they're like, okay, like we're having a little bit of a crisis here just because of what we're building on. And this is the tough part of being about first mover in any industry, right? They're the first mover FPS game in Web3 blockchain, them and off the grid and productive disrespect. So it's an interesting time to be in right now.
I don't know. I love them both. I'm going to be playing on both, but I'm just looking at the larger market. You know, people who love FPSs in general, they're going to follow whatever's big at the moment, right? They're going to want to play with their friends and play what their friends are playing.
It's an attention economy, you know, so it's like there's only so much like attention we can direct like toward something.
Yeah,
true.
And that's where I think about like specifically with my gamer group, who's a bunch of FPS guys. We went and played the heck out of CS2 as soon as we got access to the private beta. Then as soon as launch came out, about 2 weeks after, we just switched back to Valorant. So like gamers are going to switch game. Like as soon as they have a bad game, as soon as they get a bunch of bots every time, or these freaking movement noobs, like they're done, right? And then they want to switch to something immediately. And that's where Shrapnel better be like this beautiful, shiny cupcake that's like, come take a bite, you know?
Well, to me, this sounds like with the Call of Duty launch, I should start with Call of Duty. And then as I get people, you know, watching me hanging out in my channel, I should start introducing them to Dead Drop. Once Shrapnel comes out, I should introduce them to Shrapnel. See what I'm saying? Creators.
I mean,
work.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that like, you know, CS2 and like everything, like they have the perfect audience for what blockchain is, right? And what blockchain gaming is. And so it's like, how can Shrapnel, you know, mimic a lot of that, of the Counter-Strike, everything creators that they're doing, and introduce it to them that way, so that the streamers that they're watching want to do the same thing and play with their favorite streamers, right? I think the activations need to be somewhat geared or mimicked towards that way. And I think like, you know, like in anything, right? You do these tournaments that are like, hey, first-person shooter tournament. Maybe we do three different games. You do Valorant, you do CS2, and then you do, you know, Shrapnel or Off the Grid, right? Like it's all getting creative here, introducing them softly and easing them into what you're building.
Well, before we move on to the next topic, we got a comment.
There's another
here.
Topic.
We got a comment from the audience. Imagine spending $120 on Modern Warfare 3 just to find out 2 weeks later you love this Web3 game more. I don't have anything against that because
gamers are going to spend money, right? Like the gamers spend money. Like I don't know, like 120. Like I don't even want to know what I spend on what I've spent year to date in my whole entire life in gaming, right? Let alone probably what my parents did before I was able to afford games, right? Like whatever, right? It's probably something astronomical. So like I think that like again the initial spend for the game isn't really kind of what the concern is. It's more of what the spend is during the game and the lifespan of the game and what kind of experience it gives you.
100% on the experience part. I think that's why Modern Warfare 3 is just it's seeing so much attention, is because the experience between it and Modern Warfare 2 is a actual leap. There's been a lot of community feedback that has been listened to. Even during the beta alone, the developers released an update to address community feedback that happened in the middle of a weekend beta. I'm just saying this is a level of feedback and response that we have not seen in Call of Duty in years. So I really hope Sledgehammer Games can hammer it home, keep things up. As far as in-game spend, I'm expecting like previous entries, lots of microtransactions, plenty of skins, new maps and stuff we're gonna have to pay for, the whole 9 yards. But at this point, I think we've all just come to accept that.
You do. And that's the thing that people need to understand. It's just something that we already like have that connotation of knowing that you're gonna go spend, right? Like it's like shopping, right? Like you're just shopping.
The whole market. It's like way in the whole market.
I don't want to unveil how much I've spent on Call of Duty mobile skins in the last 2 weeks alone, but I can confirm it's in the hundreds. So
I don't know about Call of Duty on mobile. I still haven't been able to I don't know. It's just, to me, it's not the same experience.
It is. It takes some practice. It takes some finger work if you're going to actually play it on your phone. But if you play the emulated version on your PC through the official client, it plays just like Call of Duty. Like it is literally Call of Duty.
To me, like I love the fucking huge ass screen and like being like right there in front of the screen with it, like playing the game. Like
guess what? It's got controller support. Plug it up to your TV and go.
What about Steam Deck? Would it be better on there?
You'd probably have to emulate, not emulate. They got that. You can install Windows on the Steam Deck, and then you can probably install the Game Loop client through there, maybe. I don't know. I don't have a Steam Deck. I use Steam Remote Play. It's the same thing, but doesn't require a $300 device.
We don't have those kind of like luxury items that you guys do in America.
Oh man! So in other news, this is actually a little bit old, but I did not see anybody talking about this in recent weeks. This came out back at the end of September. 72.5% of major video game studios have already embraced Web3, and this includes companies like Microsoft, Tencent, Sony, Nintendo, Ubisoft. To me, that's good news.
Yeah, I mean, again, the marketplace idea, the features a marketplace can do. Tell me a Web2 game that wouldn't want to have blockchain for a marketplace. I don't know anybody that would say no to that. It's transparent, it's safe, it's legal, it does everything that you would want in having a marketplace, right? Go for it.
So, I can tell you why. So, Fortnite, I can sell 1 million skins at $20 a pop, and people are going to buy 1 million skins at $20 a pop. Now, all of a sudden, we're on the blockchain. These collections tend to be a lot more limited. We're talking anywhere from like 1,000 to probably 10,000 skins, right? So all 10,000 of those get bought out, and then they start getting sold and traded via secondary. All of a sudden, they're losing revenue because they're no longer selling infinite skins. They're selling an initial wave, and then players are the ones that are managing the economy. So even though they're getting royalties, the royalty is not going to make up for the amount of money lost from just having an infinite supply. Now, whether or not blockchain can fix that by doing it a different way, I don't know. I'm just comparing it to the current methods we're utilizing right now. But I could see from a business standpoint why they would not want to do it, because it all comes down to green. That's how I see it.
Show me the money.
Yeah, they want the money, and they know that they're going to lose money if they put more power in the players' hands.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Again, I think like the Web2 giants will know how to extract money, right, from anything that to run a business, right? But I do think that like this kind of does solve or help them in extracting money correctly, right? Like, I mean, you know what some of these gaming giants lose on money, on like, between like fucking theft, theft, hacks, and all that stuff. It's it's a number that probably isn't getting talked a lot. And so, like, again, if you could solve a lot of these issues in the blockchain, I'm pretty sure like there's the avenue there itself that would make a lot of sense for them.
I think the biggest issue is still just the stigma around the space that maybe hinders some of these companies from going public with what exactly their internal Web3 teams are doing. And then I also just wonder how many people they're bringing in-house that are true Web3 natives and within our space. 'Cause I don't see a ton of that, honestly. Like I don't see somebody that is like really integrated in kind of the Web3 gaming community, like grassroots wise, that works at like Microsoft or Google or something and is like on their Web3 team. I don't know.
Well, recognize that these stats are based on studio market cap. So when it says 72.5% of studios, it's talking based on market cap. And there's actually a chart that tells which companies are launching a blockchain game, have a Web3 initiative, or have no Web3 presence whatsoever. And this is what I find interesting, because we actually almost had an Activision Blizzard rep on this show once upon a time until they found out it was Web3 and they noped out. They're one of the ones, zero Web3 presence. Aristocrat, Roblox, 37 Interactive Entertainment, Kunlun Tech, Koei Tecmo. That Koei Tecmo is actually surprising because if I remember correctly, they're an Asian company, and I would expect most of the companies over there to kind of follow this recent shift. You got Gbits Network Technology, CD Projekt Red, Perfect World Entertainment. Perfect World's another one that surprised me that has no Web3 presence. They like to be everywhere usually. Kadokawa and Embracer Group, which I thought Embracer Group was doing something Web3.
But again, like the thing here is that I believe that we're still in year one of Web3 gaming, right? We're still in the year that's like a discovery. We're still in the year of like what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. You know, what products work, what infrastructure is still needed. We're still building. Like if I look at this like in the world aspects, we're still building the stuff under the ground, right? Like the sewers, the fucking.
We're gonna be like the kid, like the geek kid that gets rejected and just like has like a massive glow up, and then everybody wants to slide in. Like that's how I see Web3 gaming, just Web3.
Well, here's the thing: out of the top 40 companies, those were the only ones that have no Web3 presence whatsoever. So out of 40 companies, you had 7 that don't have Web3 presence. Meanwhile, you have companies like Microsoft, Tencent, Sony, NetEase, Nintendo, Electronic Arts, Garena, which for those that aren't familiar with Garena, that's Southeast Asia's Call of Duty mobile. So Unity, Entertain, Capcom, GameStop, all of these have initiatives currently. Now, as far as those that are confirmed to be launching a blockchain game, we have Take-Two Interactive, Nexon, Bandai Namco, Konami Holdings, Krafton, Square Enix, and Ubisoft. Now, the only one that kind of stands out there to me is Ubisoft. The rest of them they're Asian companies, so that kind of makes sense. Actually, I don't think Take-Two is. I'm not sure on them. But for the most part, Ubisoft's really the only one that stands out and as kind of the sore thumb here. Anybody else find it odd?
I don't know. I don't find it odd. I just, again, first of all, I don't know if they want to first disclose, right? If I was a Web2 company with the stigma in Web3, hey, would I want to disclose that I'm building in Web3? I don't know. That's my first thing, right? Again, these are all things that we say a lot of these guys are building stealth, most likely. As little of these stuff starts to leak out, I'm sure more and more will leak out. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's too many things right now that are not in their favors right now to build in this space.
There's a good point. Hang on, there's a good point brought up by KG. They said big gaming companies are also waiting for some sort of regulation to know what rules to play by before jumping full force into Web3, but they are dipping their toes. I agree.
Yeah. I had this conversation like 2 years ago at GDC with a lot of these guys. It's
2 years ago?
yeah, like they've been
Holy
working on
shit.
this for a while. Like
Am I gonna reach out?
they were probably preparing it 4 years ago, right? Like
Oh my God.
there was always the two. It's the regulations and the uncertainty on the legal side, plus the pitches and pitchforks and all that comes at them from their community the moment they even are a semi-pro NFT, right? Like it's always been that, and it's still that.
CCP is a prime example of that. For those not familiar with CCP Games, they are the company behind EVE Online. When it was first announced that it wasn't even that they were going to dabble in or do anything Web3, they were researching Web3. And the community found out and lost their minds because they thought all of a sudden EVE Online was going to be a blockchain game. Now we know that's not the case. They are developing a blockchain game separately, and people are still upset. It has no impact on the game they're playing. Nothing is changing with the game they're playing, but they're mad because the company's dealing with NFTs and crypto now.
That's funny you bring that up because they actually just posted an article kind of doubling down and explaining their reasoning on blockchain and everything too. And one thing that they said a lot in it that was interesting to me was the focus on fragility and how fragile this whole thing is. They're like, we have a really fragile relationship with our consumers. We're really worried about getting sued. We're like a bull in a china shop, like we don't know what to do. And so that's where they're at. And they're playing with these gigantic, they have a lot on the line here. So yeah, at least they're still doing it. It's just funny. I was reading that this morning.
Well, it's really reflective of, I think a lot of people are in their position. When you think about everything that happened with the Creator League stuff, like fragile is a really good way to put it. And maybe with the upcoming bull market after the halving, if Bitcoin reaches new all-time highs, or just we have a lot of just capital incoming in the space, maybe it's going to take something like that to move the needle for people. Because I posted about Bitcoin on my Instagram stories about just the uptick that it had. And I had people message me asking if I was hacked. Because I had normies message me asking if I was hacked because they're like, I've only ever seen people post about Bitcoin who are hacked. And I'm just like, what?
So when it comes to the fragile relationships, if you're not familiar with CCP's rocky history with their community, that might be what they're referencing. So I love CCP because they are the company that I think literally defines fuck around and find out. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that they are not afraid to try new things, even if it results in failure. Dust 514 was an FPS game that actually had integration and interoperability between the PlayStation game, Dust 514, and the PC game EVE Online. You could actually have your corporation call in airstrikes from players on the PC version to bombard a planet map for the PlayStation version. But where they screwed up was they released it at the end of the PlayStation 4's lifespan, or no, PlayStation 3's lifespan, and never ported it to PlayStation 4. So the community literally couldn't keep playing the game unless they wanted to use their old console. Eventually they shut that down. Well, they also had Eve Valkyrie, which was a VR experience they were selling online. That one was neat. I didn't get to play it because my headset didn't work well with it, and that's kind of what led to them eventually pulling that from Steam as well. They're willing to try and fail and try and fail, and I think that's what we're going to see here with Web3 is they're going to try this because they're not scared of failure anymore. But that community and the fact that they're anti-NFT, we've had multiple games shut down because I was an avid EVE player. I loved the PlayStation game. I probably played it more than the PC client, so seeing that shut down was a big blow for me personally. But I still played the PC version off and on, But the VR also shutting down, it's at this point, as somebody in their community who plays their games, it is that, is this going to work? Because if this is yet another failure, that's their third or fourth in a row, right? So it kind of starts to give me doubt as to whether or not I should continue supporting them because they can't seem to get things right. But I'm going to actually hold my breath on this one. You guys know I'm usually the pessimist, but this is the one time I want them to succeed. I think that as long as they listen to the right people, they learn about the tech in the space before they try to go crazy. I think they could really know something down there because they already have experience with player-driven economies. They have experience balancing what happens when the economy goes off rails and gets exploited. They have experience 180ing decisions and reversing, big changes that were detrimental to the overall ecosystem. This is a company that 100% has the knowledge and experience to make it work. They just need to get the tech people and the Web3 side figured out and how they can mesh the two together. That's where I'm at with them. I'm praying for them. Hopefully they do great. I know this wasn't supposed to be a CCP topic, but it kind of just weaseled its way in there, so whatever.
All right, I'm going to go buy a bag now of what's their ticker on the NASDAQ?
I don't think they have one. I don't think they're publicly traded.
Oh, man.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
What is it on Coinbase?
They don't have a token or anything either. Yet. We don't know if that's going to be subject to change, but
look, if US regulation kicks in and there's an ability to do these tokens and everything for some of these games, I think there's going to be a whole nother floodgate of Web2 games exploring that avenue, right? I mean, that is a serious dam right now that is closed, and I think when you open that faucet, it's going to fucking pour in here.
Look, I've been telling people for it has been about a year now. World of Warcraft is essentially a pseudo Web3 game. They have a token that fluctuates with price based on supply and demand. You can convert it to fiat, even though it's within their own ecosystem. It's store credit, so you still end up spending in their ecosystem. If they open that up and they were like, here, we're Web3 now, that would be nothing but beneficial for their game and economy. But for them as a business, I could see where it would hurt their revenue. Again, it comes back to that earlier discussion of, well, now they're going to lose money because the sales are coming through players rather than them. I don't see them doing it, but I would love to be wrong. But meanwhile, while they're putting their head in the sand, pretending none of this exists, we do see bigger companies, or well, not necessarily bigger, but other big companies coming into the space, trying new things, at least looking into it, which is what I would encourage any game company to do, is at least look into it, research it, find out if there's a market fit for whatever you're building, and maybe there's a good reason to implement it. If not every game needs to be on chain. I don't know. I'm not the Web3 fixes everything type of guru. I believe that not every game needs to be on chain. So just do what's best for you and your game, Then we got next up on the list, unless anybody's got anything to add to that. No? Moving on? Okay. Walmart and Outlier Ventures launch incubation program for Web3 startups. Now, we've seen Walmart in the metaverse for a while now, but I think this is the first time they're starting to kind of throw money at Web3.
Pudgy Penguins was if their whole focus, as they put it, is decentralized commerce, which is what Pudgy Penguins' activation with Walmart.
And that's actually a phrase used in this article too. So
yeah, no, exactly. So it's really interesting. I was honestly really surprised and kind of impressed with Walmart doing that. And I think they accepted 5 companies into this accelerator program. And if you look at what the companies are doing, Hype Lab is one of them. They're all tackling some really unique problems that Web3 advertising, Web3 marketing, things like that. And so I'm really interested in kind of following the success of the companies in the cohort. And so, yeah, it's just, I'm impressed and excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a list of the companies. It looks like Hype Lab, Reveal, Tide Protocol, Token Guard, and Unblock are the first 5.
Yeah, and I mean, when you take a look at Walmart, their main existence right now is competing with Amazon. And Amazon is clearly okay with Web3 gaming, right? And Prime Gaming is a clear example of that. And they're going to do everything they can to make sure they're staying competitive and toe-to-toe with Amazon, because they see Amazon spending in it. They see Amazon playing in it. Then they know that this is the future war that's going to come. And if it's the only concern I have is that Walmart will cancel and churn through stuff like butter. I've seen projects get adopted, get signed on, go to market, literally land in the stores, and then 3 days afterwards, the performance is not good enough. Sorry, guys. So, and that's just their business, and it works for them. Even the Pudgy Penguin stuff, I grimace at it, because if it had gone well, we would have heard about it by now. And because we haven't, it clearly isn't going well. So
Dub said it, not me.
that's where I'm at.
Y'all better clip that little button on the bottom that says clip. Take it and then post it, and then tag Luca in the post. All right.
What's interesting though is that it's a 12-week virtual incubator program that the 5 companies are across Web3 marketing, advertising, and improving payment technology. So I don't see how like they're not going to have penguin plushie toys hit Walmart, you know?
Yep.
So it's really interesting to me that Walmart is focusing on this sector of companies because I don't think that these companies are going to do that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. It's more about payment and seeing if they can have a better revenue stream than with a credit debit card system, right? Like if Solana Pay comes in and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we're saving 5% on every single transaction with this. We better get everyone to start doing this shit. Like the Walmart greeter is going to start handing out those bracelets like candy then, but until that happens,
That's actually what I was thinking, Dub, is they might be setting themselves up to start accepting crypto payments because, like Shay pointed out, I just double checked, and that it's like programmable payout infrastructure, data-driven Web3 marketing, cross-border payments.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's funny because back in my day, I watched these retail orgs go from very cash heavy to credit debit to Apple Pay, and like the amount of money that these retail orgs saved on each one of those steps is why they went and took these gigantic leaps and making that happen. Just it all comes down to brass tacks and saving some percentage on their operational costs.
Yeah, I mean, your margin lines are like fucking really, really thin, right? On most of these stuff. So like anytime you could able to, save 5 cents. 5 cents is a huge fun. You're talking about like, a couple million products here. And so, and then, instant delivery is another thing, right? Like one of the things about merchant services and merchant payment services is like a lot of the stuff you get paid next day, you don't get the money to pay, all these things, right? And I think if you look at like what we're building, right, most of the stuff is instant, right? And then you look at like the ability to incorporate the blockchain technology across the world, right? Because a lot of these stuff do offer worldwide shipping, right? I mean, you look at Amazon, it offers worldwide shipping. I think Walmart offers worldwide shipping. And so like you're now uncovering some different parts of the world that would probably want access to some of the stuff that we have here. I know in Ecuador, man, I can't tell you how much money I saved because I don't have Amazon here. I mean, I have Amazon, but it just costs a lot more money. But
they don't do worldwide shipping, FYI.
Who?
Walmart.
Okay, yeah. So I know Amazon does. And so like, again, it's just like, it's the access to certain products that would allow them. So again, instant payment from somebody that's in a different, using a different currency would change the world.
Sorry, Jorge, I think I'm going to need you to repeat all that. Sam came into the chat and said that you have the cleanest haircut in Web3, changed my mind. So at this point, once he said that, all I could do was stare at your hair the rest of the time you were talking. I don't know what you said.
I love Sam.
oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
If you guys haven't tuned in here, let me do a plug for Sam.
Oh, here.
Thursday, Gamified. I can't do the...
Wednesday.
Thursday, Rumble, right? Or is it Tuesday?
Tuesday, Rumble. Wednesday, Gamified. Thursday's Block Sauce.
There you go, guys. Damn it. I was like, I messed up the intro for him. He does such a phenomenal job at intros. I was trying to do an intro for you. Sorry, bud. Forgive me. Man. But anyways. Continue on. That
was gold.
That was great.
That was gold, more gold than your hair, Jorge. That was great.
Gold like Bitcoin.
Oh my God. So did anybody have anything else to say on the Walmart topic? Because if not, we got one more we can probably throw in real quick.
One more. Let's go. One more. Get it in before that 11-minute marker.
Shay, go for it because you're the one that proposed it.
For what? For the next topic?
Yeah, ETH Lizards Illuvium.
Oh yes, I'm hyped.
Why are you hyped? Tell me why you're hyped. I gotta hear this.
Exactly. You gotta spread the word.
Give me the lowdown on why you're hyped about Illuvium and ETH Lizards.
So okay, they're kind of rolling out this announcement in phases. So I haven't checked like today or yesterday, so I don't know how much more has been announced because they're kind of doing like a tease campaign. But I mean, first of all, nobody is surprised about ETH Lizards and Illuvium being a partnership.
That's why I want to know why you're hyped.
Yeah, but okay. Because I think, okay, like I'm really bullish on Annie and his views on interoperability and how it's kind of a buzzword, and like you guys can confirm because you guys are like actual gamers, like in the weeds, like gamers don't really care about bringing their assets for like into other worlds from other worlds. And I just think what they're building with Battle and the Beyond is just goes beyond. It's just not interoperability as a buzzword, and I think it's going to merge the two ecosystems like really well together. So I'm impressed and I admire it. I admire the part union just as a business person.
Yeah, so, I mean, but based on today's conversation, right? Like this is a great way to like follow up. We've just talked about how Web 2 gamers are still not in Web 3. How Shrapnel, which is like the pro and off the grid, are probably the closer games that don't have blockchain down your throat and are starting to get a little bit of adoption. You go to a game like Illuvium, that you need a fucking token, an NFT, like it's like bam, right in your face, like hey, like and hey, let me tell you something. I'm a big fan of Illuvium, right? Like let me put a disclosure out. Now, they have only captured the Web3 gaming market. I don't know how they will capture the Web2 market. I don't know that, right? I can tell you by the looks. And so, like, I don't know if that's a partnership. First of all, do you know what type of computer you need to have to be able to run Illuvium's games?
Hang on. So this isn't necessarily focusing on Illuvium. This is a separate platform, and what she's talking about, because I do have some background knowledge. I don't know how much I can discuss, so I'm not going to say too much. But basically, what it is ETH Lizards is developing a platform that you will be able to use your Illuvium NFTs in, right? So it's a separate game that I believe will be played in the web browser. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me.
No, you're right.
No, you're right.
And you'll be able. It's essentially the first phase of interoperability, and it's what I've been telling people. It's not interoperability is not me being able to take my World of Warcraft dragon into Grand Theft Auto. What it is it's Grand Theft Auto being able to verify on the blockchain, I own that dragon mount in World of Warcraft. And with that information, they can be like, hey, since you own this, we'll give you a dragon themed car skin in our game. Right?
Okay.
That's what interoperability
is.
And that's essentially what they're doing.
I'm more stuck on that. Like you're still stuck in the same bubble, right? Like again, you guys.
Well, this is one of many. They have plans for more. So Illuvium is just the first phase.
Right.
Maybe
And I think
Blizzards is. I'm more like I don't really have an interface with Illuvium's team a lot. I just know that ETH Lizard's vision, they're going to build like a suite of products. Which and I just think if anybody's heard Annie on Spaces, you guys talk to him. Like he's a gigabrand. Like he understands the space really well. So
yeah. Look, again, I go back. I'm a business person. At the end of the day, like I'm a business person for everything I do, and I look at ROI, revenues, how you're going to do that, who your audience is, right? And I just want to make sure some of these teams are around for the next 5 years, right? And I'm not here to say like that they're not going to be around. Maybe like they do like figure out something. Again, how is it teaming up with certain things that are already like such an obstacle to play with, such an obstacle for people to understand the best way, right? That's I don't need to know the answer. That might not be even. There might be an answer that you'll be able to say, yeah, Jorge, you're wrong. Cool. Like I'm okay with that. I'm just giving you the outside look from a business person.
I want to hear from Dub because aren't you one of the content creators for?
Yeah. So I'm fully behind the scenes too on all this crap, right?
Okay.
But beyond that, there's a tone that's being set that is actually a new style of marketing that I think is happening like a little bit everywhere. And it's the Dead Drop's doing it right now too with their UGC content creator, create your own game mode. So now ETH Lizards can come over and also make a game mode in Dead Drop and this kind of stuff. And by delivering a product that's finished and is like this auxiliary product, now it's the other guilds are looking at this space and are like, oh, I could go make a side game using Illuvium assets and stuff like that. And then that's that much more marketing. That's that many more activations because that's that many more bubbles that are attached to your bubble that has the, it's just user acquisition. And I think it's a really good way of doing it and it's a new way of doing it, like UEFN. Like, this is all the same thing. This is just blockchain's way of doing it, which has another layer of interoperability.
And there are benefits to have here. So the more games they pull into this platform, right? Let's say they start working with Shrapnel and Off the Grid and all these other games, and all of a sudden my NFTs from all these different games that I've already purchased, I already own, can all of a sudden be used on this other platform. Well, what happens if games start shutting down? Well, now my NFTs still have some sort of value. They still have some use case outside of that game. So there's a lot of benefits here. I agree with Jorge, like, to get into it initially can be rough. So I don't see this as an onboarding measure. I see this as more of just a value add for existing
like a retention. It's more
exactly.
Retention. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sorry. No, I was just going to say that Illuvium is very Web3 heavy, like Jorge mentioned, but they've done it really well. Like, they've executed really well and have captured that market share. I don't know how they're going to go into Web2. That is a good question.
Well, they better hurry up because I know they're running out of cash.
Oh,
hey, it's public. It's public. Yeah. I mean, come on.
You guys are going to get me fired. I'm trying to keep good relations with all these people.
It's so that's a little spicy, okay?
I know, right? Like, look, at the end of the day, look, I'm still friends. I'm friends with most of the people that live here. I'm friends with most of the people that lead Lizards. I'm friends with everybody. But
it's just hard truth.
This is the world we live in, right? Like, it's like in anything. Like, if you have a grocery store and your main product is milk and you're not selling milk, well, guess what, guys? Y'all better figure out how to sell the milk, right? Like, or figure out another way to bring in another revenue. Maybe it's eggs. I don't know. But, like, it's simple little things like that I have to look at and say, okay, how are you going to bring in users? How are you going to make money? How many users do you need, right? I think that's always the biggest question I always ask most of these projects. Is like, how many users do you need to make profit, right? And it's a question that, like, I think people don't really, like, go that profound and understand it, right? Because I think there are users that will come onto your platform, but then out of that users, you need them to spend money on your platform or spend the money to get into your game, right? Kind of like why these games sell for whatever they sell for. And so, like, again, it's just like, I don't think fully that some of these game developers, when they're building this, they're understanding, hey, I actually have to put food on the table after I run out of my money that I raised $4 million or $40 million.
Sam said Jorge's dairy farming when everyone else is in blockchain.
In Ecuador, right?
I mean, well, there is kind of a point here that I didn't really consider. So they're not selling their own collection for this platform. Where is the profit? Like, is this just not a profit-driven venture? Is this something that they're just doing for the users, or is there a game plan to monetize later?
Lizard Boy, are you here?
Dub's like, I don't know.
I just play the games, man.
I mean, I'm not going to complain either way. As a user, this is nothing but beneficial for me. But I can agree with Jorge's points. Like, how sustainable will it be, and will it bring in new users, or is this just kind of a?
And remember, you have to have users spend money, right?
It's about partners. It's about showing guilds what they can do in the Illuvium ecosystem.
I see that completely. I agree.
And welcoming them in, like
that is
that's the cost here and what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, money only lasts you so long, right? Especially, like, as we go through a bear. A lot of people are banking on a bull market right now to have their game, like, do really, really well. And I hate that. I even hate that some game developers think like that, because those are for the metagamers. And again, like, gamers don't really care about bull or bear markets or anything. They just want to game and have fun. And so, like, the whole mindset that there is in this Web3 space about the way they perceive of how they're going to make money and why a bull market's going to make them be like the top game in blockchain gaming, and that's going to bring all these new users is wild to me, right? Like, I don't think I do enough drugs to understand that, right? And so, like I'm still back at, like, A product makes you $4.30, B product makes you $1.30. Which product am I going to push? How am I going to keep the lights on in 2 years, 3 years from now? Most of these game projects don't have a fucking business plan past year one. That's my number one common question before I become an advisor on any project. Give me your 3-year plan. Where do you want to be in 5 years? And they're like, 5 years? Like, how about 6 months? And I'm like, And you want me to be an advisor for 6 months? Like, I don't know. Like,
And the plan cannot be just to extract liquidity from your community through mints or just try to mint like your assets. That's just
No. So this is what I think I could see happening, because Dub has a good point. Partnering with games. Well, what's to stop them from launching their own collections that work inside of the games they're partnering with too? So there is actually still room for them to be able to monetize and bring in some revenue for this. But I'm not sure that this is necessarily what they're aiming to be, like a money maker. I think this is more like for the community and for like getting more games names out there. That's kind of what I'm looking at. But I'm not super in depth. Like, I don't know all the background info. I'm just kind of involved.
From each other's point of view, I think it's just for and maybe Doug can chime in more. It's like demonstrating their aptitude to be able to build these kind of products and platforms.
Yeah, I mean, it's wicked sick in my point of view. Like,
I love it.
I mean, I know they're big on investment and stuff and everything too, and like. This really shows that you want ETH Lizards to be invested into you, because not only is ETH Lizards going to invest cold hard cash, they're going to invest dev time, which is like the most valuable thing in Web3, like more than cash.
So I'm honestly more bullish on ETH Lizards than Illuvium, like in this
all day. I mean, look, I think the ETH Lizards team between Annie, Lens, all those guys, like, they're very super ultra smart guys. I'm not here to not put that past them. I think that's definitely, I think we all feel the same way, right? And we're all fans of what they're doing. I just always say, hey, like, I don't think a lot of, and I'm not saying they haven't thought about this. I'm just saying a lot of business owners don't understand, like, how to keep the lights on from a year, right? From now on. It's like, look at revenues, right? I think that one of the things that expenses, look at salary and payroll, right? As your company expands and grows, you have to expand and grow your personnel, right? Here, I'm going to give you guys like a quick little bit take right here. Is that like a lot of game developers right now are spending money on dev, marketing, blah blah blah. You know, one area that has not been spent much money on, that most of these guys probably don't even realize or won't realize it till their game is live, is customer support, right? It's like, do you understand how much support some of these games have, especially for A, onboarding, B, once you're in the game, any of this stuff? Like, there's just so much when it comes down to expenses that people don't realize in game development, that in a year from now, they're going to be like, holy shit, I don't think I have the money to be able to hire, fucking Jim Carrey to pick up the phone and say, hey, thank you for calling, Ubisoft. Well, how can I help you today? Whatever. Like, the little shit, right? I mean, like, there's just so many expenses that still are not factored into game development in the future life of the game that people don't realize today.
That's across, have you guys ever, it's kind of across the space, which I hate. Have you guys ever tried to contact or been in touch with Coinbase's customer service? It is the absolute worst. I
mean, it's nothing new. It's a global issue. This is sport. This was in sporting goods too. I spent my life fighting this thing, right? Like, it's great. AI is going to impact this market.
I was just going to say
so much more, because like, you can literally take a photo of a bike now that's broken and get detailed instructions and your tools and everything, like from ChatGPT, and that just eliminated my 300-person bike team customer service that I set up for this previous company, like with one freaking bot. Like, and I think that's the assumption that everyone makes, is that by the time I need it, there will be a service provider to provide it. And that's the biggest fallacy that so many people run into.
No, I have to. Yeah, I was going to say, I have to agree. I was recently working on my website, which I pay for a private server, and I was having some issues. And I went through probably 6 different websites trying to figure out where I can get help, who can help me. I went to ChatGPT and had everything working in an hour. Why? Why is it so much easier to use AI? I hate this, but I love it.
Sometimes you still need a human. I think if you're troubleshooting like a tech issue, like you need like IT tech support. I agree. Like an AI bot or something could probably help you out. But like with Coinbase, like, because first of all, they're handling a lot of money. And like recently they just like locked my account, and I'm talking to like one of their.
A lot of money.
Yeah, and like they won't give me a reason, and they're just like, your account is locked until November, whatever. And I'm like, can you? And they're like, it's just security reasons, like something in their algorithm. I don't know if it's like my wallet recently got stolen, so I had to like freeze my credit. So I don't know if somehow that went back to like Coinbase, and they decided. But it's like, how can I unlock my account? Like, you're not even giving me a reason why it's locked, and now I'm just like at the mercy of you. Like, that is so centralized.
Now put that whole theory right there that you just said in a game that you have all these assets on, that you spent all this money, that you're locked out of, and there's no customer support. Are you going to FUD the game on crypto Twitter tomorrow or tonight?
Yes.
Probably. You're on Instagram.
I did it. I took the high road. I'm a good guy.
I was going to say, how many Web 2 games do that? Warzone just shut down and rugged everybody of hundreds of dollars of skins.
Yeah.
So
again, it's just like little things that I tell people, like the people don't realize about running businesses, right? And then these are great examples here that people that like, okay, yeah, AI might help you, and I think AI will probably help 70% of what you need to do. At the end of the day, you still need somebody to control the AI bots, right? The AI can only do certain so much before human interaction needs to come in to make sure, hey, maybe we got to fix this workflow. Maybe this something is wrong, right? At the end of the day, you need certain things. And I think that's, again, back to what I get back at. When you look at like all these seed investments, and I can tell you, I look at maybe one or two projects a day, and I look at like the way that they do expenses, right? Some projects don't even share with me their financial projections, because they're like, I don't know that. Like, what does that mean? And I'm like, you want to raise $2 million. What do you mean you don't know what a financial projection is? What do you mean you don't know what a data room is? And so like, yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a lot of aspects of business that is left out in Web3, because the problem is that in Web3, the past 2 years, you had a really pretty pitch deck and you were able to raise $40 million. And it was a really good way of getting rich, get quick. Hey, crypto at space, you buy this NFT, you're able to 10x it, dump it tomorrow. There are so many things that the Web3 space has done that allow people to monetize. And so I think now that we're starting to finally get to that breaking point where people are saying, I want to invest in good projects, I want to invest in good founders. Well, now we're finally seeing that next step in the evolution of Web3 gaming.
Well, does anybody have anything else to add? I do want to say I want to say real quick, thank you, Jorge, and your haircut for apparently getting me a new job. Thanks to you. Sam says, I want Jinky to be my customer support rep always.
What's going to be the company name, though?
We got to ask Sam.
Oof, that's like, he will have the best introduction for that company. I will tell you that. You better hire him.
I need that employee handbook with Sam's personal written greeting.
Yes.
So that way, every time I answer the phone, I've got a banger lined up, you know?
That's not going to work in customer support, buddy. you don't want to start with something like that when someone's got a big issue, dude.
Yeah, I want it to be like, welcome to the greatest, biggest, the God of all gods. Like, however he does it, man. Like, I get amped. I was upset yesterday that I was 8 minutes late. I was trying to get off with a client yesterday, and I'm like, hey, I gotta go. I have another meeting. Meanwhile, it was to get
at least you got to tune in. I couldn't tune in, and I was having FOMO. I was like, I need to listen to these intros. But no, we need to get Sam to write us a Block Sauce intro. Well, I love our theme song. It's really vibey, but still.
Yeah, Sam, come on, help us out, buddy. We want to be cool like
Share
you.
your gifts.
We're trying to get to 5 billion views, Sam.
Look,
5 billion.
Maybe I just need to get more creative, because whenever Sinjin came back and I had that intro for Sinjin, we had a lot of positive reception there. I was told I could even rival Sam. I'm just saying.
There were sound effects.
And I put all that together in literally like 5 minutes too, because it was like Rod was like, "Hey, can we do something special for Sinjin?" And I was like, You asked me this 5 minutes before we're going live. What do you want from me? So I'm like,
you got video, Jink. You could have little flyers and wands and stuff. Party hats.
Oh man. Well, we also don't usually do intros because we have a pretty set panel, but I don't like to take up everybody's time with intros, because when we were doing those, like
I'm
the first
super
30
famous
minutes,
and everyone knows me anyways.
No, the format of his show is just different, so like it fits more. It'd be weird to do intros every single time for us.
No.
Exactly.
I'm boycotting. If you don't do an intro for me next week, I'm not coming onto the show anymore.
Okay, I'm almost 10 minutes late into this meeting, so we're gonna have to cut it here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you had a hard stop.
Thank you for tuning in.
No, I don't. But...
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. That's gonna be wrap for us, folks. This was another great episode. Thank you guys so much for joining. Oh, we lost Shay early, whatever. It happens. She just said, "Okay, bye," I guess. But of course, we could have done it with all of our amazing viewers and supporters. You guys are the reason we're here. We do this week after week. Remember that the sauce never stops flowing. Stay connected with us on social media, Twitter, YouTube. We're everywhere.
Bye, Shay.
Share your thoughts. Suggest future
Peace out,
gaming and Web3 topics.
Bye, Shay.
Bye, Shay. That's going to be it for us today. Sauce enthusiasts, join us next time for another amazing episode of the Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3. Have a good one.